CS greetings,
Hi,
CS goers.
Chris.
The person with the crazy eyes is me, actually, for once. It is axtremes. Prophecy is here, and Geemax is here. This is CS:GO Deeper, sponsored by
Yes.
Aperture PC, and we have got a great show for you today. And especially great is the fact that Geemax is here. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to be here.
Oh,
Look at
awesome,
you
man.
guys.
Yeah,
Both
bro.
as majestic as in real life on Skype as I've seen you on videos all the time. So it's good to be here.
Awesome, man. Great of you to join us. Prof, how you doing, bro?
That's good. It's good. Watching some what is this? Godsend versus LDLC. Ugh.
You're a man. You're not
Are
allowed
you,
to multitask.
are you watching that while talking to us?
No, I'm just
You are.
watching
I
that.
just saw you. I just saw you looking at it.
Saw the reflection in your
Yeah.
glasses.
Yeah, we can
Busted.
actually see the score. If you look a little bit right. There we go. I got it.
Is it?
LDLCs must be winning.
Fantastic. So I think let's kick it off with a little bit of ESL Africa first, because hashtag Africa, we live here, so we may as well go there, and then we'll hit some Maverick challenge. I think that's pretty important with the finals coming up. We'll also talk a bit about ESEA South Africa, which is going to be starting again soon. Go over some of the past events from the last weekend. We'll do some of the other news as well as the upcoming stuff, which, as it turns out, is tremendously substantial. So lots to see us happening this year. But to start with ESL Africa, on the North African side, Sean, we've seen Limitless be the first North African team actually qualify.
Yeah, they have actually looked like the best team of the event as such. From the North Africans, crazy amount of aim. They've got just enough tactics to make it work, and Keops, I think, just puts them above and beyond anybody else. He's the rare in a or North African player that is both crazy at fragging and consistent at doing so.
Jeez, they are crazy. Have you caught any of it, G?
The games are kind of like, I feel they're quite late, so I don't really
Yeah,
get
they
to
are.
watch them. So, but I do get to like follow up on the results. The results pages have been quite good. Like, I feel like I'm still kind of biased to the South African side, so I watch that a little bit more, try and fit that into my schedule. But I guess, I mean, you guys over at ESL are streaming so much CS at the moment. It's crazy. Like,
It is, yeah.
it's great to see. And I guess with them coming into things, it gets closer to that unified African region getting a, notable region. It's sick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's actually relatively important stuff. I mean, we're going to be crowning the champion of the whole thing overall at Rage in a few weeks' time. Top two from South Africa versus the top two from North Africa. I think the North African side's pretty open at the moment, aside from Limitless, because like what we see the whole time is every team seems to one each other somehow. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
this game, we have Sean on the desk saying, this game is an opportunity for Team X to go second on the log if they can get a 2-0, ends in a 1-1 next evening,
Yeah.
and repeat.
And it just goes back and forth, sort of ping pong results.
Yeah, that must
And
be frustrating though,
it's
Sean,
weird,
talking
though.
about it on the desk.
It's terrible because it's like, I mean, especially like if you looked at last night's game, it was I think Generation Digital versus No Relation, and like No Relation stomps Generation Digital on map 1. You're like, okay, going to map 2. Like from what I saw from Generation Digital, like it's like systemic errors. It's not just like, oh, they're just not good on this map, but the other team's like great on this map. It's like, firstly, No Relation has a guy dropping like 32 frags, like an absolute monster, and the other team is just nowhere. Gets to second map, I'm like, I think I'm gonna go with No Relation. They get stomped 16-6. You just like, I don't even understand it anymore.
Jeez,
Like,
they-
what
Like
is
Caster's
this?
curse.
It's
It
horrible.
was so crazy though. I mean, it was literally like in map 1, the one team was that big guy on the beach kicking sand into the little scrawny kid's face, and then in map 2, the little scrawny kid turned out to be like a thin head on a giant body that just came out of the sand and then kicked sand into that guy's face. It was like, what?
Horrible.
It
Yeah.
made no sense. But that's
I
what we
like
keep
that
seeing.
metaphor.
So we keep seeing in the North African stuff. It makes it so difficult to talk about it
But do you guys
in definitive terms.
do you guys think that compared to the South African CS, it's on higher level, or is it kind of like in its growth stage as every sort of smaller scene is trying to head into those bigger esports leagues?
You take that one, Sean.
I think given that they're connected to Europe, they probably get to play against better players. We've said this fairly consistently, is that like they look better if you just look at how quickly they snap to the kills, how like their spray control, that kind of thing. So like the raw skill looks better, but like the tactics and the synergy and the structure of the teams looks a hell of a lot worse. And that's just really the thing, is like South Africans, because our teams have been together longer, they clearly have a better understanding of how to play together as a team. But we don't know, like, is the North African parent skill, because again, we don't know if that's going to translate into what we see at LAN. But is that enough to beat what seems like a better structure from the South Africans? That's just the question.
Yeah, I guess having them with the same ping sort of situation as a South African team is going to be a big deciding factor in it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like
scary,
everybody's it's terrifying. I mean, like that's the thing. That's why nobody can really wait for Rage at the moment. Is like we just want to see, like, are our suspicions confirmed, or are they wildly out of touch? That's the thing.
Do we actually?
Yeah,
know
it's something
what
sort of
we're talking
untouched.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's also just hit the South African side of it. On the South African side, it looks like BVD have qualified. I haven't seen them pop out any notification from their side saying, "Hey, officially, we realize we've made it." But you and I were talking earlier, Sean. We think that they have qualified based on what can happen in the rest of the season. The question more is second place, because really, what's the weird thing about the season is there's 3 teams who sit at the top of the log joint at the moment, and that's BVD, Energy, and Big Five. Or they did until Big Five got sand kicked in their faces by Bravado. So now it's really down to Big Five and Energy. If Big Five can beat Energy 2-0 to DC as well, and Energy losing a 2-0 to Bravado, then Big Five can make it.
That sounds like a very complicated equation. If this, then this, then this, then Big Five makes it, which I think is a bit of a rough one.
Is it likely though, Sean?
I don't think so.
But so are you saying they have to 2-0 Energy?
They have to 2-0 Energy.
2-0 DC.
Okay, so they have to 2-0 Energy. That's the first stop. Right, that happens on Thursday. Then they have to hope that Energy loses 2-0 to BVD. And then they have to beat DC 2-0. All of these things must occur for Big Five to have hope at making top 2.
Yeah, that's a big reach, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it does sound a kind of... And Energy, I mean, Energy just has to... Yeah, Energy just has to kind of win against them, and they can beat BVD or lose against them. They just want a second spot. Yeah. I guess.
Like, I mean, knowing Energy, I don't think that they're going to accept a second spot. And knowing BVD, they also won't accept a second spot. So, I mean, there's a hell of a lot of pride on the line, and also whoever gets that second spot. Yeah, and whoever gets that second spot draws Limitless.
Is number one in round 1.
Yeah, so I mean, given what we've seen from Limitless, I think they'd both rather like to avoid them.
Okay.
Because Limitless is so far beyond the rest of North Africa at the moment, it just looks a bit silly at times.
And so Big Five's taking on Energy on Thursday, you guys said.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be a cracker to watch, because if Big Five does something there, then the first step of probability is there, and then they just have to pray that BVD ruffle stops.
Counter-Strike gods. They have to sacrifice all their worldly possessions and somebody else's baby to the god of Counter-Strike to actually get what they want. Let's hope not.
That's going to be a tough one. I don't know. I don't see it happening. I think, I mean, I said it before. I think Big Five, they're a fantastic team if you look at them, but they just can't live with BVD and Energy. They don't have that guy that's just going to go, just go beast mode and take over the whole game. If they can find one of those players, then I think they have a shot. Right now, I just can't see it happening. They just need too much to make it work against those two teams.
I love that Big Five lineup. Like, I think that's just a swaggerlicious lineup of players. Like, honestly, don't shake your head at me, Sean. Let me
I
live
don't
my
know, like
fan
it's just no, it's just I mean Stephen, Phantom on the desk also loves Big Five. It's just the problem is like you look at them and you're like, okay, Convict is there or thereabouts, Custom is there or thereabouts. I mean, you're not really going to expect Lighters to do much, but he can on occasion.
Hey, don't hate
really
on my
pick up a
Lighters stream.
No, like the problem is it's just like it just feels like all of them is like half a star at the moment, and if you add them all together, it's just like they don't quite equal into the rest of energy, because it's like energy has this thing called Domster, and when it appears, it's like you just lose the game.
It's godly,
So,
yes, it is godly.
Yeah, and that's just the problem. It's like
I'm sad
I think
that you
between
gave all
Domster,
5 of them half a star each, though. That upset me.
I mean, look, Spartan is doing well at the moment. I think if he can continue to grow, he's probably the
that kid
superstar
is
on the lineup.
fire.
But
that kid is fire.
Yeah.
But like, just the problem is, but right now it's like Spartan, Domster. I'm taking Domster every day of the week, unfortunately, right now, because I just think Domster is as a much more terrifying player in his all-round game than Spartan.
A lot more experience, I feel. So I think in that regard, he'll trump him every time until more LAN experience and exposure happens for players like Spartan. But yeah, I just like the lineup of players. For me, it's a nice, from a fan point of view, entirely fan point of view.
I think also like the pertinent thing about them is they're probably the most improved team of this last. I mean, we've been watching ESL Africa now for what would we in like week 30 odd of broadcast or something. So we've seen a lot of them, and across 2 seasons, and like they really have progressed from being sort of so-so to being legitimately really good. It's like the way they got a lot of their victories in season 1 was by other people being bad, as opposed to them being like ridiculously good. It was like they're good, but they haven't quite figured out their systems yet. But over the course of time, and maybe
the dynamics for sure.
Yeah, in the little off season, they really sorted themselves out. They came back and they looked really, really good in the first week. And I think they've continued that. The problem, like Sean says, is that they're missing that one little thing that's going to take them over the top to being as good as an energy. Because they're actually probably 90% of the way there. Because, I mean, we're talking about really small percentages here, amongst the top teams. The problem for them is they don't have like this trump card in the back pocket where if like Domster's not having a good game, then Black Poison goes crazy, or Flexi goes crazy, or Kenny has a crazy game. Like the problem is with the players they have, 4 of them are always going to be solid, and Spartan, if he's good, they can be amazing.
Consistency,
not,
consistency is key, and I think in CS in general in South Africa, we have a consistency error like across the board. Even down to the sort of amateur leagues and things like that. It's like without being able to practice and do things all day, every day as like a full-time career, and it's merging towards that point. It's getting there, and there are people that do it and players that can do it. And I think as that starts to develop, that whole scene of these sort of superstar players that have not been able to really show what they can do at a level just yet will develop out, and that's where like I get excited about that sort of thing. Like for me to see that progression and where the scene's going at the moment, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Well, that's a great transition actually. But before I do the transition, hey Astro, how's it? Thanks for watching.
Yo, Ash, what up?
Quick shout out there, but we'll take it over to the Mettlestate Matrix Maverick Challenge. I think that's a really cool thing to talk about. Because that's exactly what you're saying, the development of the next generation, the new guys. I mean, why don't you tell us about?
It's like a seed, I guess.
George.
Like, it comes in from being more towards a seeding pool for the upper scenes to start picking players up. It's no longer MGOs always being dependent on the same pool of players. There's emerging talent that also hasn't got a chance to shine, and that's where the Matrix Maverick Challenge, sort of showcases these lower echelon teams in terms of exposure. They haven't been exposed on social media, and people haven't been able to watch these players play on a stream, be shoutcasted and stuff like that. So it kind of gives them a exciting like prospect to where things can go. And as that develops, the upper side develops, it's just like I said, a feeding pool for exciting CSGO in South Africa, and things that like as an esport, Dota, unfortunately, is kind of fallen to the wayside in terms of, their development side, whereas like we're focusing a lot more on trying to get everybody involved in CSGO. We've seen the female side also, emerge. And like, as I speak now, my girlfriend's sitting here practicing CSGO, and they're going over the strat stuff that like my friends won't do because they just refuse to do it. They're sitting here like going over games and things like that, which is like, it's insane for me to see. Like, it's great. So Matrix, like the Maverick challenge principle is there to diversify and add more players into the pool. And I know there was a little bit of like ooh-ah about teams like Pew Pew being selected to come through, but based on seedings and stuff from the previous Mettlestate tournament, we don't really have seedings in South Africa apart from independent sort of organizations that have done things before.
Well, nothing
so
unified,
from yeah, I mean, we had, Versus Gaming, because DGL was like the longest running thing for forever, and people were always like DGL, blah, blah, blah. But it's not really unified, and there's a hell of a lot more stuff going on. So we just took our recent results and took, the lowest seeded teams and things like that. We saw WRG Aspire merge into Pulse, and that's why they came through. And then, like Pew Pew's lineup, they didn't perform really well at the last Mettlestate. Neither did, a team like Overpowered. And then there was a couple of teams that were just invited through, teams like Lasagna Lads and Pixel Hunters. There was just like new names, new players. Yeah, dude, I love those names. I think they're amazing. Like Lasagna Lads, to shoutcast that game, just pasta loads of fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would have like, I'd be rubbing my hands together about that one. All the puns.
Yeah, it's glorious. The punny nights of CSGO.
Jeez, I had the privilege of casting a couple games as well. I casted one with Tiny. I think it was actually Severe versus Pew Pew, and then I did the game last Wednesday with Anthrax, which was Severe versus Pulse. So the puns that Barry was able to bring out just about trains on train was at a crazy level. So now, if you were on train with Lasagna Land, yeah, exactly.
No.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
It's great.
I think the best thing about events like this is, I mean, we're going to see it now. I think it's got like, I know there's a big hullabaloo at DGC about especially the Dota, is because there's a whole bunch of guys that have left Masters teams and are now going to be playing in like DGC teams. Correct. And there's like a lot of people getting upset because they're like, why are these teams getting Masters players to play for them? And it's like literally just cash grabs by these players and all the rest. So like I've always been anti the fact that we have like these huge massive events, like like one every 3 months, as opposed to a smaller event that teams can qualify to like once a month. I think that's like, it's such a better way to build a scene, especially with something like the Matrix Maverick Challenge. Like, it's small enough, that like maybe the BVDs and the ENs are like, we got other things to prep for, so we're going to give this one a skip. And then you're going to have like the big fives, the DCs, like the teams that aren't quite like right at the top, so they can't aim for something like, for instance, like ESL, because they're out of that. So you can use like the Matrix Maverick Challenge to play against the lesser teams, but then the lesser teams can play against the DC and the big five guys. And it
bridges the gap like between those top teams and then these smaller teams, because like I still feel even in the top leagues that the sort of skill gap between the top 3 seeded teams in South Africa and then the rest is big already, and then from there you've just got a massive gap. And these guys, like, what's cool is once they've started to see sort of progression and what can come from grafting and putting in effort into strats, and there's basic things that you can be good at in CSGO without just having amazing aim. And I think the more time you put into game, you can build on your aim and you can practice it. I think if you have a natural finesse for it, you'll grow quicker. But putting time into practicing smokes and learning Molotovs and practicing on pre-fire maps, it's so important to just get that basic skill set down, so that when you do face up against a big boy team, you've got, some kind of hold on a default A, or how a certain player's gonna, rush into side every round because you've watched all of their VODs before on stream, and like they put time into watching. And there were certain teams, like for me, that just didn't come to the party. Like Overpowered for me, played disappointing CS, and I'm not afraid to say that because like they played the first Mettlestate tournament, against the big boy teams, and they got to experience probably what lots of these teams haven't had to experience before. And they probably had, access to VODs before that would have allowed them to prep harder for smaller teams, but came in and, just didn't put up anything that was, for me, when you watch the game or you cast the game, watching a team not even, have a default executes on a site, or, rushing in with pistols every single round, not trying to, pick up a kill, or not buying defuse kits, and just, silly errors that you can see they haven't put any effort into. For me, that's disappointing to see. But for everyone else that really came to the party, I mean, Mike, when you casted Pulse versus Severe, like you were pleasantly surprised by Severe's ability to adapt to Pulse and to bring a sort of game to the party that they had to adapt to.
Yeah, I gotta say, like that particular game, like I don't think a lot of people had huge expectations for Severe. I mean, even myself, like to a degree, but I have played with a lot of the guys from Severe quite a bit. I mean, I know what the individual levels are, but when you combine that against like a bottom end Masters team like Pulse, you don't really know how's it actually going to go. And that first map, I mean, they could have won it. In fact, they should have won it actually. If not for their smoke
super
going
close,
horribly awry on B side. It was
correct.
Yeah, I think Barry and I were just looking at each other, going, "What did we just see here?" They had the game at their mercy and missed the CT smoke somehow.
And they played amazingly up until that point, and one critical moment where it sort of falls apart. And up until that point, they surprised me because I'd gone into that as a massive Pulse fanboy. Played with a lot of the individual players on Pulse and watched them and done stuff like that. So I was pleasantly surprised coming into that. Another team that also surprised everybody was, of course, Pixel Hunters taking down Pew Pew. The team that
got some good players though. In fact, let me actually bring up the results for guys just so everybody can actually see the page here. So Maverick Challenger was Pew Pew versus Pixel Hunters 2-0 to Pixel Hunters, and then the Pulse versus Severe, which was one close map and one really one-sided map. The Pixel Hunters versus Pew Pew, unfortunately, we were busy on ESL Africa at the time.
ESL side.
We unfortunately could not watch. Tell us a little bit about that game.
Yeah, I mean, the surprising thing was that even on Pew Pew's map pick, Pixel Hunters destroyed them. Both games it was 16-9 on Train and 16-5 on Cash. Pixel Hunters just came in and just destroyed Pew, which, like, I don't know if you ever read any of the sort of Facebook comments and stuff announcing the tournament when Pew Pew was announced as one of the competitors, and people were like, "Oh, how can they play?" Yeah, and then for them to get beaten by Pixel Hunters, great, and the individual skill level on Pixel Hunters team, just Mufasa playing with an AWP is disgusting. Like, he's so fast, and for me, Gully also just clutch master all the time. It's great CS to be able to shoutcast and watch, and Pew Pew just in that scenario and in that game just got made to look pretty amateurish, to be honest. Like,
that's amazing because a lot of people would have thought Pew's going to come in and do big damage in the tournament. So that the fact that Pixel Hunters have done that, but I know from talking to Happy Feet quite a while ago, the manager of Pixel Hunters, they do have some pretty big aspirations in the way they run their org. So I think it's they actually have a lot of upside potentially. And also mentioning Mufasa, we started a tradition last week with Apocalypse. We did a podcast and then went and played CS afterwards, and in fact we played with Mufasa. So
okay,
quite funny.
Yeah, I've met him before. Wonderful guy.
But yeah, talking about the final though, I mean that's going to be happening on Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, at the Matrix head office store in Alberton, in LA, Lower Alberton.
Yeah, Alberton is a place I haven't gone a lot in my life, so I've got a passport ready.
I'm glad to
I must
hear
just check that it's still valid and stuff. But yeah, it's at their flagship store. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the venue. I kind of go to these events as like more of a fan than anything. So I'm hoping to get some of the players to sign some shirts and hang out with the people, and like that's the cool part for me about events is like the
meeting,
mingling, and
the
then
greeting.
yeah, then we get to shoutcast CS:GO as well. That's also cool. But yeah, living in that moment for me is what I enjoy about it a lot.
Yeah, I love it too. We got somebody in comments at Dot Gaming saying, "What's up, G? You want to say what's up there?"
Yo, what's up, Dot? How you doing? Cavarino.
There we go. So the Matrix Maverick Challenge final at the head office of Matrix in Alberton. One thing I can tell you, I haven't been there in a few years, but what I recall about it always, and it was a very long-standing thing, is that all the sales people are hot women. So
okay, well, I'm
and
excited.
the
Did you
entire
see my
technical
eyes?
team
Like,
is dudes, so it's like if you need help, you're going to be helped. Something's broken, like a sweaty dude's going to help you because of it's Alberton. Let's be honest.
but I actually need to buy a USB stick. So yeah, I no longer know where my USB is gone. I
You
need
to buy a USB stick.
I need a USB.
I think it's preying upon the humble nerd who has not seen many real women that aren't their mother or their classmates in their life.
Oh, it's like a clickbait title. You'll never believe what we found at Matrix Warehouse.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then there's like a lineup of them there, like.
Yes, dude, and like a slow pan down.
Okay, well, I'm definitely bringing my camera on Saturday, bro. Let's see if anything has changed at Matrix. But I mean, in general, it's a really big store, surprisingly big store actually. So I think it's going to be cool. I mean, it'll be a little tight with 10 PCs and a bunch of fans in there, but I think in general, it's going to be such a unique event. So I'm really looking.
I don't mind having to snuggle with Tiny. Like if they need to put us really close to each other, we can get real tight.
You can just fit on his shoulder, I guess.
That's it's possible. We do have to like scale me on the cameras. I try and look a little bit smaller just to let Matthew look bigger, but it's all
The main question I have is Matthew going to wear a shirt that is actually his size?
No, the woman's medium makes the biceps pop, but to be honest, he definitely wears 2XL shirts. I can confirm.
Jeez,
when I wear them, it's dude. If I want to go to Opi Kopi and I need a tent, I borrow one of his shirts. Just a couple tent poles, tiny shirt, and we good to go.
That is superb. So, what time does the final start? Is it 1 o'clock?
To be honest, we had a message going and we were asking about, I think, 1 o'clock. I probably should have.
I think I heard as well, but I was like, I can't find any way to confirm it. So.
No, I can't even confirm it really. I should have confirmed that. I should confirm it. It's important for me to be there.
Should I message Barry right now and ask him what time is the final?
Yes. If I send him a message, he'll ask me why I'm not spamming him with #Dota2 on Twitter.
Okay, I'm asking him right this very second.
Yes.
What time is the final on Saturday, you majestic beast? Okay, wait, no, we'll leave that last
That's
bit
definitely going to get a answer straight away. That's how to get Anthrax's answers. I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah.
According to the ticket, it is between 12 p.m. and 5 p.m.
Are you going, Sean?
Yeah.
What? I don't even have a ticket yet. So I totally need to actually book my ticket. Oops.
You don't have a ticket?
Yeah,
There's no more. Did you get a media ticket?
I'm special, man. Like I can come at like the last moment and somebody will give me a ticket. In fact, they will take yours away from you and give it to me.
Yeah, they don't give me tickets. The riffraff gets like shipped in crates. They just wheel me in. That's
Poke some air holes in the crates for you.
Bash my microphone. It's all good. It's all straight.
Cool. So the question is, who's going to win the final? G, I mean, you've got the biggest experience in watching it because you casted most of it. So what's your thought? Is it going to be Pulse?
I feel if Pixel Hunters bring their fire game, like their fire that they've been bringing, it's going to be a tough one. Like I'm super fanboy behind Pulse, and unlike Sean, I suck at going off statistics. Like, heart is where it's at, man. Like, let's go Pulse. I'm rooting for Pulse, but I'm impartial because I'm Shoutcaster, so I'm impartial. But
Oh, yeah,
Pulse,
we've
Pulse.
totally broken that illusion. Now. Broke the
Don't
fourth
worry,
wall there.
Anders is totally impartial until it's Danish, and then he's got to be all over it.
And then it's difficult. Yeah. No,
The North is
I
here.
keep my oohs and my ahs to a bare minimum as much as possible. Nico has good filters for them.
Ah, there we go. Well, I definitely need to pull through to have another several beers with my bro Casimir. So,
Oh, dude, Dean is amazing. Like that man. We're talking about majestic. His CS is majestic as well. I mean, I can't remember what game it was. I think he dropped like a 37 bomb. It was pretty disgusting.
well, he dropped I think 35 in the second map of the semi-final actually. So
yeah, it's Casimir is godlike.
indeed. The other thing I think that is godlike.
I'll join you guys for a beer, but I'll have a sparkle water.
Okay,
Yeah,
sparkle water. You
we'll
don't
hang
drink.
out.
That's fine. Okay. Sean will drink for you because I've never seen Sean drunk, so I'd like to get him drunk.
I don't
Never
drink,
seen him
mate.
drunk. You don't drink.
Don't drink.
Me and you together.
I don't.
Sober cobras.
So
No, it's just
Why didn't you do the group sign, Sean?
because
what is it? Is it
Come on, Sean Tits.
No,
Look at
I'm
him.
not
He's
doing
like,
that.
please take him away.
No, I refuse.
Make it end.
So, Sean, I'm not going to ask you who you think's going to win because you haven't watched enough of it. So,
No,
I mean,
unfortunately, I've not.
probably if I have to go with the head, I'd also say Pulse. Really, they're looking really good. I mean, I was talking to Shaz earlier. She was saying they're practicing really hard, like pretty much every night.
Just give her a deagle. Just give her a
I mean,
deagle.
jeez. Give her a deagle and send her forth, and headshots will be had, and much merriment will be had for Pulse and not for the other guys.
Much anger on the other team. How does that happen? How?
I
Four
do
of us.
think
How?
I do think it's going
How?
to be a little closer though than some
Yeah.
might think, just because Pixel Hunters have looked good. So
No,
I
it
really
is
hope
gonna.
to see a good game.
Like I said, it's going to be super close. And if Pixel Hunters brings their game, it's going to be tough for Pulse. Like, that's how I felt watching Pixel Hunters play their game. Like, I just feel like... But at Pulse, I'm impartial.
Ah, there we
Because
go.
I'm Shoutcaster.
So
yeah.
all I want to know is you must have watched The Lion King as a kid, right?
Yes.
So when you say Mufasa's name, will you say Mufasa, please?
Okay, that's a deal.
I think
I
that
might
could
say
be
it too
fun.
much, though. That's the problem. Now it's exciting.
It is the circle of
Promise
life.
you need-
Tiny's just going to be eye rolling. Like, do you have to say his name like that? And I'll be like, Mufasa, Mufasa, Mufasa.
See, the best thing there would be is if there was like a player on the other team called Scar, and then every time you kill him, you just like long live the king, and just let him down.
Well, look at that meme lording with the Lion King. Who thought that was possible?
Dude, no. Dota players.
In
bro.
before someone changes their name to Scar. Just saying.
That would be good.
Casimir.
Casimir.Scar.
Scar. Oh, you can't do that now because there's a team called Scar with it's the old XTC lineup with Iskaboot and
Oh, yes.
and Carlo,
Yeah, you can't.
PND and Turtle. So
And you see how we planned that to just throw in extra news. That's what we do on the show.
look at that. So when one talks about Majestic Beast, I would like to also thank the Majestic Beast that is Aperture PC. And for you, Mr. Astro, who is in chat, please send me a private message on Twitter, and I will be giving you a really nice MSI extended mouse pad that is so big you can put your keyboard on it, and your arm will not be long enough. So.
Can I tell you something really funny about your mouse pad? So I told, obviously, the girlfriend, we're doing this thing. There's stuff that you could win. Maybe your girl's team wants to come and play, like watch. They were like, sorry, we're going to be practicing. But the main thing was that it was a Gucci mouse pad. And I was like, no.
I thought that
like,
could be funny.
like a Gucci mouse pad. Not Gucci mouse pad. So like the group chat lit that there was a Gucci. Then I was like, MSI mouse pad, it's Gucci. And she's like, oh,
it's an expression, guys.
yeah.
it's
But
meme
you
building
almost
a little bit.
clickbaited a whole girls team into watching the stream with Gucci mouse pads. So
Okay,
yeah,
well then I'm gonna
props.
keep doing that. I mean, you've now given me the key to attracting
Yeah,
the female
like a
viewers.
key.
So Astro, you're absolutely welcome, bro. Just as I said, pop me a message and we will get that to you. If you're going to be at Rage, I'll give it to you. Otherwise, we can make a plan to get it to you. So thank you for watching, bro. And for the next thing on the agenda, I guess, would be ESEA South Africa's registrations are happening at the moment for season 26. $150,000 doll hairs, as Antwax would say, is on the line. Apparently, if you do make it to the Mountain Dew Land finals, it's just
That's
not.
hella Skrilla.
Yeah, it's just not
Oh,
confirmed that a South African team is going to be going or not because they don't tell you before the season starts because that's what they do. So
yeah, they wait till you've
It's like a
paid them,
scammerino.
and then they wait till you've paid them, and then they tell you what's actually happening.
Your
I mean,
that's like-
co-contribution to the prize pool for other people to win because you didn't get invited.
Well, I mean, they
Basically.
did that to us for season, what is it, 24, 25, where they were like,
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, BVD went to the MDL finals, and then the next season everyone's like, sweet, we're going to MDL finals, like massive buys from the players, like, you know, like all sorts
Excitement,
of
hype.
from the team, and then it's like, and South Africa's not invited.
Yeah,
We're just
sorry.
like,
instead, you get
Like-
$3,000.
Are you a region? Sorry, no.
yeah,
Rude.
sorry.
Yeah, let's
Sorry,
really
guys.
hope fervently, I think, for it to actually work out for South Africa because I think Bravado did amazing things at the MDL finals, previously beating TSM, putting themselves on the map, and then just weren't able to go again. So let's hope they change their minds. And part of it, unfortunately, to say it, I mean, as much as we don't like the way they do things, I mean, for ESEA South Africa and Robbie who runs it, he actually needs the sign-ups to actually justify whether a South African team can go or not. So the
Yeah,
more
it's
of you
like
guys
a
that can sign up as
catch-22. It
possible.
needs to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We need to sign up for it to be a possibility. So I really hope guys do. The closing date is Monday, September the 18th, so not too long. I'm also thinking
If I wasn't
of
trash,
jumping
I
in
would
there.
sign up.
You should totally,
if I
bro. I
wasn't-
mean, like, you played last season, Prof.
Yeah, no, we did. We got manhandled by, I think, Energy and DC, and I think it was Big Five as well. I think it was the Big
One
Five
goals.
game that my team my Big Five, well, against Big Five, I think was the game where my team somehow lost to a Glock Eco on Mirage. I was watching it on VOD, or not on VOD, on the replay, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, wait a minute, they just juked an entire team with like a set of Glocks. They got one
This
kill on the
is-
B site. And I just watched my team, like, entire team rotates. I'm just like, oh, this is gonna go badly. Guy walks
Prof
to the
is
side,
sitting there
plants.
going,
it was
Rip.
like I just sat there. I was like, I think I just turned off the demo at that point. I was just like, brain
headsets off.
is hurting. Have to take a break. Yeah,
It is
take
the
an ice
worst
cold
when that
shower,
happens.
calm down.
Yeah, well, I think I might also sign up with it with a couple of guys as well, maybe just for some fun. I mean, you guys mentioned it earlier as well. Like, the nice thing with the Matrix Maverick Challenge was the fact that you could, as a lower team, potentially get to face some guys who are better to help you improve. ESA also gives you that opportunity in a way because you will end up playing one or two of the top 5 teams in South Africa during the course of the season. So it's major character building. I know a lot of people will also say, oh, no, it's not cool to go and get smashed by BVD or DC or whatever. But I must say, when I was playing actively, the opportunity in the Arena
it's exciting,
Championship
dude.
or the MWeb Masters that year, which were the only other 2 things that weren't DGL, it was huge because we came up from Open Division all the way to Prem. And until we got to Prem, we didn't get to play those guys. But the way we got better was by getting wrecked by them in MWeb Masters and Arena because we actually got to play
You
them.
had to learn.
So you get destroyed 16-4 by Bravado on Dust 2. I mean, that was the lineup that still had lighters in it and Arachno, by the way. But you go
Jeez,
back and watch the demo and go,
throwbacks.
okay, this is what they were doing against us. Now we know what to do when somebody does this. And it's like,
And
then
you
when
do it against another team that's never faced Bravado or something, and you can then go like, "Woo! Look at what we learned one way."
Exactly. I mean, you
Bam.
got to take a positive attitude about it. Like, it always triggers me, man. Like, when people go like, oh, we're just going to get wrecked and we won't learn anything. Well, with that attitude, of course you won't learn anything. So,
I mean, the problem
yeah.
with that logic, though, is that like, did you not play MM? Did you not get wrecked for like the first 6 months of your
exactly.
life in MM to get to like anywhere like halfway approaching acceptable? So it's like, okay, why don't you just translate that into the team aspect, where these teams are going to wreck you all day long? And that's why I said, like, I'd love to have these smaller lands, because that is the kind of thing, like, you'll see a Pixel Hunters rock up there, and it's like, people will be like, oh, they just got lucky with a draw. Okay, we'll see them on land though, and we'll see what they can do against those better teams. And if they get wrecked, great. Then we at least know where they stand, rather than like, oh, this team is just this team is just like a massive bunch of onliners. Okay, well, we don't know that because we only ever see them online.
Totally agree,
100%.
So yeah, ESEA season 26. Sign up if you can. If you're a troll,
I might
team,
sign up now.
Yeah,
I might sign up.
we
You
can
guys
make a troll
motivated
team.
me a
I
little
don't
bit.
even mind, man.
I'm like, I play Counter-Strike so that I can like be okay at shoutcasting. Like to, just
That's a good reason.
that's an AK-47. Toop, 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 toop. Look at him tapping away. That's a good technique. Let's go. And then when it gets exciting, they run into the sites. I can get hyped and I can just go bananas. And then afterwards, analytical people can correct everything that I do wrong. But it's okay. Like, it's okay. As long as there's a disgusting thrown in there, we're Gucci. Not that kind of Gucci,
okay.
though. Just Gucci.
Just got to clear that up.
Yeah, just terms and conditions. I'm not providing no Gucci.
So, Nick,
I don't make that esports Skrilla.
Yeah, well, very few do, as it turns out. But next thing on the agenda, let's talk about some of these past events we saw this weekend. This weekend was nuts, guys. There was ESG Mykonos and on the island in Greece, beautiful place. There was Dreamhack Montreal, which is also a beautiful place. It's just a lot colder, and also
Sean has an
as
itchy
well.
leg.
Yeah, Sean, are you
I
okay?
do have
bro?
an itchy leg. It's crazy.
Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
You
Perfectly
sorted. Blink 4 times if you are unsafe. Sean is still safe.
So the other thing that also happened was Eleague Premier as well. So it was a ton of stuff that was going down. So I think the first thing we'll start with quickly on the past events.
Scandal.
No. We'll go to scandal last. So let's start with ESG Mykonos. That's probably the good one. I have to, contractually I have to. I'm with Code Red Esports, and so is Sean, and they ran the event. So we'll probably be in trouble if we don't talk about it, right?
Yeah, well, definitely
I
have to talk about Mykonos.
Yeah,
that was my favorite.
What do you mean? Are we talking about like Mykonos, or are we talking about the infinity pools that we saw for the first week of like the build up, and then it's like just pictures of the pool and players in them? I'm like, why are they showing this? I don't understand.
We want to see a really fun dude who's really white in a pool.
Yeah,
super surprised though. No Dozier pictures. That was mega disappointing.
I actually asked Ben if he could confirm for us whether Dozier actually speaks English or not, because the only words that we know he can say is vodka and strippers. So, I mean that's been
vodka strippers.
There you go. So Ben has not confirmed anything for me. I'm super.
It's Dozier. When I was in Poland and I got to be on the floor for when they did their little walk around the arena, and that man walked past me. We're talking about majestic beasts. That man is a majestic beast. Like, he's huge. He's like, even in the hotel, dude, he's just big, like massive, like tall, and then like his stomach, dude. That's like, it's not even a fat stomach. It's just a beautiful piece of engineering. It's like mini Dossier inside Dossier. That's what goes on down there. That's why he's got good CS. But mini dots are thinking for him.
Two brains are better than one.
Pew, pew, let's go. Yeah. No, that guy is majestic, man.
That's fantastic.
That's majestic.
He's like that. No, he's like that alien from Men in Black that like sits inside the old guy's head. Except 100%. I think he sits in Dozier's stomach.
Dude, there's like a bowl. It's actually just it's a dome. It's a dome for mini Dossier.
That's fantastic. I'm going to quickly switch it to the view of HLTV here so everybody can see it. So don't worry if you need to take your pants off, you can take it off now because we're looking at HLTV here. So
I have really majestic pants.
I want you to show your majestic pants a little later as well. Hey, I'm just saying.
Mm-mm.
So I mean, we go over what's happened here. I mean, it was 8 teams invited. Heroic really disappointing in 7th to 8th. I feel.
What terrible.
What do you think about that, Sean?
No, I've liked the heroic team, especially. I think Yugi, if you can ever get it together, could be a dangerous player. But that is a team clearly that once they lost Valde has dropped off the edge of a cliff. That's not a good-looking team at all these days.
Yeah, not at all.
Really not great.
Also talking about not a good-looking team, aside from the fact that they do look wonderful because they're French, and all French people do look wonderful for some reason, despite the terrible lifestyle, is India. So I mean, I think that's not unexpected. 7th to 8th is probably where they're at in this company. So that's pretty normal. Big. I mean, a lot of people had some. I have to say it, big expectations of them, but I think those expectations are a little overinflated considering.
You need a new pun for that one.
Large.
Large.
Yeah.
Inflated.
Enormous.
Enormous.
Please don't crop
Engorged.
the video for these.
Okay, wait, no, this is going the wrong way.
See what you've done now, both of you.
But anyway, I mean, Big pretty much hit where they really are at. I think it was an overperformance at the major, helped by the jump crouch bug and the fact that people didn't have a ton of information on them. Now that we know what they do, they're incredibly structured, but they don't have the firepower to hang with the likes of a Gambit or an SK.
Yeah. If Tabson doesn't go God mode every game, they clearly just can't live with some of the teams.
So fifth place for Gambit, the major winners. I mean, what were your expectations of them, George?
I'm not really surprised that that's where they placed, to be honest. I mean, the major for them was like a kind of real shock performance to get to where they got to. So I think placing there isn't really surprising for me. Like behind SK, Virtus Pro, not really. I'm not surprised, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only thing we could have said maybe it was a bit surprising, but Gambit was obviously Malmo, and we needed to see if they could continue from Malmo because they made semis there. But I'd agree with George. Like seeing them 5th to 6th here, that's about where you'd expect.
They're doing amazing things. So to get to like these places, it's good for their rankings and stuff on HLTV. It's good for their org. It's good as players. They're happy.
Yeah, I think, I mean, given recent results, maybe you could have put them ahead of Virtus Pro, but Virtus Pro did look slightly improved. I mean, I wouldn't say it's by any great margin, but
slightly improved.
I think Gambit VP would have been the only real quibble that you could have had, given the rest of the teams available.
Can I show you what hat I was gonna wear? But then I decided not to wear.
Please do show us. Are we gonna see his majestic pants? Yes, we caught a glimpse. Oh, a bit more pants there.
You didn't see them.
He's a VP fan.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
we got to be careful here, dude. We could be in trouble here, Sean.
Still has a little tag on it, you know.
I don't know. I just support Danish CS, so it's the best drug, as they say.
The Danish CS, best CS, but nice VP hat though. And I'm gonna quickly switch back to the bracket so people can see it again. So.
Yeah, we'll get back on track. I derail everything. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're terrible. The VP at 4th there gets themselves a $23,000. And honestly, they look slightly better, but compared to looking utterly awful last week at Dreamhack Montreal, looking slightly better isn't really saying much. And there is, unfortunately, some talk about actually potential lineup changes. And the question is to what? Because there's nothing really available.
No. The VP shuffle has occurred.
Oh.
Taz is the in-game leader.
Oh, Taz is the in-game leader. Okay, so that's.
It was announced this morning that Taz has become the in-game leader, and the entirety of Reddit rejoiced that they shall have Snacks back as the smoke.
God Snacks.
The smoke king.
Yeah, God Snacks. Needed, honestly, I mean, Snacks is the guy who's going to, deliver the carry performances.
You have
and
to
he's
let
not
him.
Allowed to
you have to let him. You have to let him be unleashed, man.
Mm-hmm.
He just needs to play his game and not think for the rest of them.
So the other thing is SK. They should have won the tournament, honestly, based on the pedigree they have. We spoke about it last week. If you don't win the tournament as SK, then you have failed at the tournament. So they failed. Simple as that.
It's 3 tournaments in a row now that Cold Zero's been a little bit lackluster, I think, given his standards at the very least, it's a worrying trend. I mean, Fur and Cold Zero didn't look great here. Fur's looked great at previous tournaments, but Cold Zero's really gone off the boil, and Fur started at this event, so you just hope that that's not going to be a continuing trend for SK here, because I mean that could go south in a hurry then. They relied so much on particularly Fur's aggressive entries and Cold Zero's ability to just win every sort of, you know,
Clutch that he
1v2
had.
situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with you
absolutely.
entirely. SK is so disappointing in recent sort of standings. I have an SK badge as well. That's it. They're not on show because, you know,
Yeah,
I don't accept that third. It's not acceptable, especially with that lineup. Like you said, you
yeah,
don't win the tournament with
it
that
shouldn't
lineup.
happen. No, the other thing that I think is now an experiment that should be over is the whole Taco Orping thing. We joked about it a few months ago, Sean, and it's like, I mean, seriously, come on, guys, stop, just
Uh,
stop
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't work out.
No, I mean, who was it? I think it was Lurpus that said it. Like, somebody saying like, why don't you give, like, you know, what's wrong with him and giving him an AWP? And they're like, and Lurpus says, why would you give your worst aimer a gun that costs the most on the team?
Well,
Like,
GT
that's
used
just
to do that.
That's
so
a
you
great.
remember Smith?
I hope that was a tweet. That's great.
It's just like you just said that, and I'm just like, yeah, but like people are like, oh, but he can AWP. Yeah, he can, but he's not a good AWPer.
When you
There's
compare
a
it to
reason-
pedigree AWPers, you know,
Yeah,
the
I mean,
likes
you
of
have
especially,
Fallen
like-
and
Fallen and Cold Zero
Guardian,
in the
like
same team.
yeah,
yeah,
like I said,
it's-
yeah, you have Cold Zero. Like, oh no, we're gonna give our fifth best player the AWP. Like that defies logic. I don't understand.
So I mean, the other
Just
thing
don't
that
understand.
defied logic was actually what the final was, which was Mouse Sports versus Liquid in a BO5, and Liquid, I think, with a pretty nice over performance. They look well coached. I think having Zeus there, the former SK coach, actually might be helping them, and the fact that they didn't have lineup changes when roster mania was happening during the break, so they actually looked pretty decent. I mean, Eleague typically, you know, put in a big performance. JDM for once actually was on the server and not just lounging. that was good to see. And in general, I mean, with Nitro now as the in-game leader, I thought it would be a disaster, and it wasn't.
No, I mean the final wasn't a good show at all, though.
No,
Like
it wasn't
it was
a great
basically
game. Let's be
it
honest.
was like basically, I think 4-1 like super one-sided games and one relatively close one, but none of it was actually really good CS. Yeah, I think Liquid is okay. They beat SK in a 2-0, so I think if we see Liquid play a little bit more, maybe we'll find out exactly where they are right now. Still a very solid team all round, to be fair, and there hasn't really been any sort of other recent issues. I mean, as you said, lineup stability does help, but I mean, how long?
Yeah,
Eleague has constantly got stories around him. So
well, he did try to leave allegedly during the off season, so I kind of thought that might tilt the team a bit, but it didn't. They did okay. On the other side, we got Mouse Sports, who won their first international title in since 1.6, I think. Have they won anything in Go?
No, I don't think so.
They lost that best of 7. I think it was to Hellraisers 2 years ago.
Jeez, nice memory there, Sean.
Jeez, like,
Oh,
do
no,
you
I
have
just
it
remember
written on
'cause-
your roof?
Yeah, you
No,
were looking
My
up.
roof,
No, it's
my
like-
roof, my roof doesn't have no
No, I'm
CS:GO
just
stats
trying.
on it.
I'm
Nope,
just
not
trying to
that
remember.
side
Like I remember
either.
it was that Acer Predator Masters season 1.
What the?
Could be.
This is statistics
I
on
don't know.
I
like,
do
I
actually
I just
remember that.
remember
That was that event where they
'cause it was,
everybody
like,
sat on the
ridiculous.
couch and had beer in the
CS
casters.
Yeah, and then there was that huge fight with Babam.
Oh, jeez.
I
That was
missed.
that whole,
I
like-
missed. I missed being able to chime in one thing about Liquid though that I really wanted to say, which
yeah.
was seeing an
Yeah.
NA team get to second place is power. I'm happy. Go Liquid.
Isn't that the meme that they can't win anything really?
Yeah, but it's fine. Just let them be second. It's fine. They beat SK, which
enough.
that's for them as a victory in
Yeah,
terms of
the whole
placements.
the whole
so-
of NA can finally beat one Brazilian team. Great stuff.
Oh,
Can you
jeez.
stop rolling your eyes at me, Sean? I can see
I'm
you
not
on the
rolling
web
my
camera.
What am I doing?
Oh, that's funny. So I
Meme
mean,
Lord over there is just casting the shade. Let me make my own shade.
so Mouse Sports, I
mean,
mean, like, if we look at the individual performances, Oscar was pretty quiet for most of the BO5 and then went nuclear on the last 2 maps, including on Nuke. So that was quite
I
fortuitous.
saw what you did there.
Yeah, I did that. But also, what was kind of weird on
Funny
Nuke,
guy.
he actually rifled instead of AWPing, so he gave the AWP to Chris J, and that's when he really went crazy. Was actually with the rifle. And what I must say about Chris J is his firing speed is good, but you look at Oscar, Oh my word, the guy, like, I mean, he looks like he quick scopes. He shoots so fast. I mean, the guy's like
Yeah.
27 years old already, and he shoots that fast. Unbelievable.
Yeah. No, I mean, Oscar, I think clear MVP of the tournament. I think he was like negative on only 2 maps or something like that, or like a below 1 rating on only 2 maps in the entire event. So, I mean, just generally very, very consistent play. I think they have improved. They finally gotten rid of they finally got rid of the Dennis. They got themselves
God,
Sticko,
Dennis.
and yeah, I mean, you just like remove the, you sort of like build a lower floor by getting rid of him. So the flood doesn't quite get into the basement and rot all the wood. And I mean, Mousesport's looking much better for it. Oscar's actually been in very, very good form for quite a while. So if they can continue, I think they'll be a dangerous team. I don't think they'll ever be like a tier 1 team with this kind of lineup, but they can reasonably win these kind of events. I would have been much more impressed to actually see them go up against SK, to be honest, rather than Liquid, because we have a fairly good idea of what Liquid's good at, whereas, what SK's good at, but Liquid is like Liquid's sort of like a spike, and then they sort of drop off again. So if Liquid can continue, then we'll know exactly where Mousesports stands in the world. But I think given that Liquid played SK and Mousesports played like a fairly shaky VP, I just want to see a bit more from Mousesports before I say that they're like top 5 in the world type nonsense.
Robs didn't impress me in the final side, so.
But he was crazy in the semi, though.
Yeah, but when like, yeah, I guess maybe there was just a little bit of extra pressure. I mean, that kid is 5.
I mean, what? 17, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Truly crazy.
Pumped up on G
I've gotten a time confirmation from Mr. Anthrax about the Matrix Maverick challenge on Saturday. It is indeed 1 o'clock.
How did you get that?
He listens to me, bro. I'm important.
Sure. Sure. Cheeky sure.
Yeah, just kidding. But he did say 1 o'clock. So
he's not kidding, fam.
No,
he's not kidding.
I'm sorry.
He makes good content. Look at this great show that he's hosting right now.
Right now. Right here.
Right now. Share with your friends. You could have won a Gucci mouse pad, but you couldn't because it's gone. And it's not Gucci. It was Gucci.
No, it wasn't Gucci. So the other event that we can also talk about briefly, I mean, I didn't watch a lot of it because it was happening at the same time as ESG, which made it a little bit difficult. But I did watch the final, which was Dreamhack Open Montreal, $100,000 prize pool. We had Gale Force. Don't know. Don't care. Complexity. Don't really care either. Luminosity. Not relevant anymore, unfortunately. Penguin, second best Polish team, but very, very, very far from Virtus Pro. So really, it was about the top 4. CLG have overperformed consistently, I'd say, with this lineup. They've looked decent. Cloud9 got the new lineup. They should be, the best NA team based on the players they got. And then we've got Immortals, the guys who finished second at the major, and we've got the North. The North is here. Hashtag Danish CS. Hashtag best drug.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most disappointing team at this event would probably be Cloud9. Them getting hammered by Immortals and ending up on the North side of the bracket. I mean, there was no reasonable way you could say Cloud9 would be better than North. So once that happened, you pretty much knew how things were going to break down. CLG got hammered by, well, I mean, apparently 2 of the 5 Immortals players, because those were the only 2 guys capable of being awake or being present at the time. So
we'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a minute. But for yourself there, Mr. G,
yeah,
you're an NACS fan. Were you disappointed in Cloud9?
Yeah, I'm Cloud9 for me at the moment is also like they kind of I think I need a separate long time to talk about my feelings on Cloud9, to be honest. Like,
do I need to go to the browser so that we don't have to see your salty tears at this point?
You could go to the browser, but I took like amazing don't cry to NACS eye drops. I do have a spare bottle if anyone needs to have them,
because I'll grab it from you on Saturday.
They should be plentiful at this point. Yeah, I was disappointed.
Oh. Well, I mean, I'll just quickly bring up the bracket here for people. So, I mean, Cloud9 3rd or 4th, essentially 3rd place. Let's see how they develop. I mean, I kind of felt like if they were going to fulfill their potential, they probably needed to be in the final. And let's face it, they might have been on time. So
it's a fresh, sort of lineup and change for them as well, though. So I don't know.
I'll give it time. I say
I-
if we 2 or 3
I'm not a
tournaments down the
super-
line, we can
I'm
judge.
not a massive fan of the switch up that they did. I can understand why, like, they replaced nothing, I guess. Part of me, small little,
Are you a nothing fan?
tiny. Yeah, dude. That guy's like nothing's vlogs from his events and things. Just as a fan to be able to watch those and get an inside scoop a little bit. Like, I think that was a cool part of that scene, and I don't really know who for me fulfills that. Like, yeah, he didn't always deliver amazing things, but nothing had those amazing rounds where
Pistol rounds,
you were just
particularly.
left.
Sad. Well, you know what's interesting about nothing? I noticed from playing in NA for a month when I was over there last year. I had my laptop, so I just played a little bit. And do you know how much people were beatboxing and rapping and stuff in
Yeah.
games? And I can totally tell you
Nothing
that
can
comes from
rap like a
nothing.
god.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm totally telling you it's coming from nothing, because like every server you're on, you're playing on a retake server, some dude is beatboxing, you are playing
It's the same with the Australian servers are also mad. Like the surf servers with like those crazy beatbox rapper guys. It's just like a whole new like niche YouTube. You just watch a guy surf and just rap about someone's mom because there was someone else talking in the comments and he just raps on what that guy said about his mom and he just doop, doop, doop.
Oh
It's
wow,
crazy,
okay.
man.
So there's an entire CS subculture we're missing out on in South Africa. So look, talking about subcultures, let's actually hit that little bit of news about the Brazilian subculture, the I don't show up for tournaments and then threaten to kill
kill
you
you.
subculture.
I kill you.
Tell
I
us a bit
kill
about
you.
that there, Sean. And please don't kill me, G.
Okay.
Well, I mean, all we know is that twice in the same day, Immortals
Pulling
didn't
out the
pitch up
knife.
on time. Like I said, all we know is that twice in one day, Immortals didn't pitch up for their games on time, and when it got to, because they didn't pitch up for the final, they had to forfeit the final map one. So
Madness.
they ended up getting, they ended up getting wrecked in the second map, and as a result, the drama llamas came out, and KNG in particular had a bit of that Brazilian fire in him, and apparently
Dude.
started walking around the hotel looking for a young man named
FNS.
FNS to do something to him. We don't know exactly what it was, but it's unlikely.
I don't think it
would
was
have
to
been-
lend him a Coca-Cola or some knickknacks.
or give him a hug. No, it's
No.
definitely not one of those two.
He also, like, the thing is, if you're going to go and look around at a hotel for someone, maybe not a good idea to attack them on Twitter and stuff first. Like,
Tell them you're going to find them and kill them.
Yeah,
it's
If-
like
if you-
I mm-mm.
yeah. Don't
But it made
give
for-
probable cause.
Dude, it made for amazing reading on Reddit.
Oh yeah, it was
So
fun.
many threads, and you could just like go in and people were just translating. You didn't even have to use Twitter translates. Like sometimes you have to go into the tweets and then click the little translate. People were just doing it in Reddit for you. You can be like, oh, I will not
This shit is
apologize for
unreal.
what I've done.
Yeah.
I'll not apologize. Okay.
He's always crazy. But
And
I
then-
mean, North look great though. Honestly, they deserved winners. They would have won anyway. But I'm sure they was even in the post-match interview. Config, typically bullish as he is, still said he would.
I love that guy.
Yeah, he did
I
say he
love
would
that
have
guy.
preferred to play the full BO3. So it did feel a bit hollow. But then he was like, "We won, bitches." Still at the same time
Yeah.
holding the
Yeah.
cup. It was great.
I mean, it is sad to have that kind of a sort of finale to the end of a tournament, but at the end of the day, like, it's also super important to enforce rules and to make sure that, it doesn't matter who you are, like, you can't just do what
Not
you want to
pitch.
do, and like you know what, the excuses that the manager didn't have to like wake up the players, and like, you are your own person and you're responsible for your own life, like,
You,
you
own
can
a
live on
smartphone, for
blaming
God's
other
sake.
people.
Come on.
Yeah, you can use Twitter to threaten people for things, like other people can do that, and you can Facebook and like to not be able to set your own alarm or not be hungover because you weren't partying. Because CS players, they don't party, dude. Like, I don't know where that comes from. They're like, all those crazy parties, and no one parties. No one does any of that. So no one's hungover.
Well, they shouldn't be. I mean,
Right?
they've had some practice, surely.
No, I
but-
mean,
They don't party. They all
the
say they
problem is,
don't
like-
party and do that stuff. But then at the end of the day, if it catches up with you, then there's consequences. And if you weren't partying and you were just sleeping, then you need to have priorities. Like, you missed the first map of the grand final.
Apparently,
because
they were also late for the semi-final as well, so that's why it was actually like last straw sort of time for Dreamhack when it came to the actual
they're
final.
warned. Yeah, you don't need so much Dorse fat, man. You don't need it. Stay
Sorry,
awake.
you were gonna say, Sean?
no, I was just gonna say, like, the problem is that we don't know the full story, but we do know that they were late. Now, regardless of whatever happens, like, just being late is unacceptable.
Agreed.
You know, like, there have to be consequences to some degree. Now, I mean, the subsequent news is that KNG is actually not going to be able to make it to E-League. I think it's this week or next week that they're playing. So he's not actually going to be. Yeah, and they've actually gotten Kogu. So everyone's like, that's
That's
going to be
huge.
pretty interesting. But I mean, the story is also, I mean, they've got Horvey on the bench. If KNG is that much of a problem, I mean, you can drop him and pick up Horvey. Now, again, the other story that everybody says is true is that the Twins don't want to play with anybody other than KNG. So if he leaves, they go. So it's like this whole massive stuff up.
And you know,
it's like
Horvy's
a ball
visa
of
is
knots.
also not sorted, and hence why they're getting Kogu.
Yeah, it's just
I
it's a
don't know.
mess, man.
That's
It's a
so
complete mess.
crazy. I mean, it's crazy. You go from major finalist to you're still a finalist, but you're in the most shambolic final of all time in CS:GO, and it was you that made it shambolic, which is a very dubious honor. So, next thing we'll go
Yeah.
to is Eleague Premier started. And I mean, I love Eleague. I actually watched some of it and then realized it was actually 4:00 in the morning, and what am I doing? But anyway, I mean,
That's then where the next day of work is super productive.
oh yeah, absolutely. We
Mhm.
know all about that from doing ESL Africa and doing it too.
That's just from my boss, because he's definitely watched the super productive if you watch CS till early in the morning.
So I'll quickly spin it over on the browser so guys can see. We've got it was Group A that happened on Friday and Saturday. FaZe actually taking it pretty easily, which is interesting. So things clicking for them there. G2 ended up also qualifying. Na'Vi did not. They got themselves one game. I think it was against Renegades actually, and Renegades got nothing. So,
Wait.
oh? Are you going to correct me? Oh, Na'Vi.
No, he's just an RV fan.
Oh, I actually have to switch the camera back to you. There we go. Okay. Na'Vi. Nice. I love how you dropped it there, man. That was like dropping a mic or something. Na'Vi didn't make it, man. So what now?
Well, that's what happens. You know,
Well,
I think basically the teams that I own merch for
we'll get wrecked.
disappoint. So what I have to actually do is find a team that I don't know how to work it. I have to reverse psychology my own self to support the worst team, so that the team I do support and don't own merch for can win. But then I don't think that's
how this would
kind
have
of the
worked
point.
is if when God Dennis and God Speedy were on Mouse Sports, if you bought Mouse Sports,
Yes.
then now you'd be like really well placed.
Dude, I would exactly like that. Like
But you'd
I
have
wish
to
I had
support
my-
mouse sports with Speedy and Dennis, though. That's the problem.
Yes,
it's a
likely.
catch-22.
not likely at all. Well, I mean, Eleague brought the crazy
Picks up
production
mouse
value.
pad
again.
because he feels bad for Navi, brushes it off. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, the overall
Don't bring me
tournament
bad
there,
juju for Counter-Strike.
Eleague looked great as it always looks. It had the horrible doo-doo music as it always does, which was great.
Yes.
Waking up, I saw Lighters had the same issue when I actually looked at Twitter. I'm like, wow, the same thing just happened to him. When it's 4:00 in the morning and Eleague goes to break and that music starts, and you're like, wake up. You know, it's just, it's not good.
What
Who's
am I doing
touching
with
my
my
leg?
life? But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest surprise here, obviously, Navi going out. FaZe beat them 16-6 on Inferno, which is an interesting one since Navi had actually just beaten G2, who I think are probably one of the better teams in the world on Inferno.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
have G2 merch as well, so if there's something else to chuck away,
They did
that would be
qualify
that
at least,
next.
and I mean they did win
Yeah.
Yeah,
DreamHack
the
Montreal
hope
the week before.
100%. So that was a situation where I didn't brag about it just in case the luck doesn't last. So I just casual one photo. That's it. We happy. Go G2. Let's go. Just support fucking
Hedging your
cool
bets,
teams that don't want
always
to do
solid.
anything for me.
And like, I don't think we saw anything particularly different out of the teams at Eleague. It was just really Renegades got what we expected they would get. I mean, they looked okay. They look better than they've looked in the past. But I mean, FaZe kind of played sort of to the potential. I mean, it didn't really look like they were fully unleashed, but they did enough to get through. G2 did enough to get through as well. And I mean, continued their good form. Navi was the simple show plus for other guys, as has been the case for a while. So I mean, they've still got an opportunity. I think if you come third, because every Friday and Saturday it's ELEAGUE Premier, essentially ELEAGUE Season 3. Top 2 teams go through to the finals, and then everyone who came third place ends up playing another tournament towards the end of the thing.
Qualifier.
Yeah, like a qualifier for another 2 guys, I think, to go through. So Navi's
Like
not
some
out.
wild cards.
Yeah, Navi's not out.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
Well, that's why I picked the That's why I picked the mouse pad back up.
So
Don't want that bad juju falling all over the place. They can still
Yeah.
do it. I'll
actually,
turn it upside down for.
what LAN was it? I remember Lighters playing with the Navi mouse pad. Was it Mettlestate? Or no, it wasn't Mettlestate. What was it?
Don't think.
Oh, it was EVTech Champions League last year.
Yeah, ECL.
Yeah, because I just remember he's like always got the Navi mouse pad. Pretty cool.
It's a sick mouse pad. It looks cool.
It really does, yeah. So that's kind of the past events thing. If we talking about other bits of news that have happened, there's the whole Anders and Semmler casting partnership on the break. You know, it's not you, it's me, kind of.
We genuinely, like I said, I was really surprised that when like that whole thing came down that there weren't any memes of like that whole like Rachel and Ross thing. It's like we were on a break.
We were on a break. No.
Yeah, we were on a break.
Do that again.
But,
What did you do? What was that?
I kept it slightly off camera so that I can't get in trouble. But Sean knows exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, I mean, that is a bit of a disappointing situation, but it's not the only casting partnership, and I think that, especially given how CS:GO has for so long revolved around pairs, I think that this was bound to happen at some point or another. Like Anders and Semmler have always been their own people, by and large, and they've done their own things, but I think this is a little bit. I mean, it's obviously very sad, and then you've got. I know that Henry G and Sadokist also worked separate events this weekend, but I mean, like that's more.
That
just
was because
the one lives
Sadokist.
the one lives in London, and the other one lives in
India.
in Canada.
Sadokist
so
was
it's
kind
like,
of just having a break. I think. Like
Yeah.
I remember reading on Twitter that guys had like an insane working schedule in like the last couple of months and stuff. Like that must be crazy taxing.
Definitely.
It must be nice
I
to
think-
be able to just take a little break from it. I mean, we don't get that kind of level of like imagine just flying around the world going and casting events and time zones and hotels, and it's taxing, man. It must be
I think he
insane.
said. I think he said he was home for like 35 days last year.
Insane.
It's just like
It's
mental
crazy,
to think
man.
about it. Crazy.
It's
Because like
crazy.
it's not like 1 month of being home. It's like you're home
No,
for
it's
2 days.
it's
And you're gone.
small
You're
little
home for
bits
2
and pieces
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
So the extra
that-
little bit on the whole Anders and Semmler thing is that Semmler is actually officially a freelancer now. He's not part of On Fire anymore, which is quite interesting to me. So that
Yeah, he's actually
apparently,
working E-League at the moment as well. So
yeah, I mean he's on the panel actually at ELEAGUE, which is an interesting one. So it's Anders and Moses casting because they're both from Room on Fire. So that could be interesting. I like that casting partnership anyway. I mean, like Moses is probably the most adaptable guy in casting these days because he can pretty much do everything. He can desk host. He can be on
Yeah,
the
he's
panel.
great.
He's really good. So I think that's a really cool one. The only other thing that's, I guess, really in the news a lot. I mean, well, actually, there's a ton of things that are in the news because a lot has happened, but we're not going to talk about all of it. The whole iBuyPower thing now kind of expanding to Dreamhack also dropping their bans, so now there's a little bit more excitement about that. I don't think we really spoke about it last week, Sean. So, I mean, on that front, we did mention it, but overall, to me, a week later, I don't feel really any difference on it. It's like it's three guys who, were in a team that could have been good 2 years ago, and one of them is still good, which is Swag. And what are they going to do? I mean, it's
Swag's
a bit
kind
of
of like, but he's also like he's super. He's like a star individual player, if that makes sense. And then like his play style kind of doesn't work for other people a lot. So like he baits teammates and things like that. So his play style is kind of like it's pretty selfish. And yeah, I think it's gonna.
Yeah,
that's just
we
me.
have to
like
see.
I'm not on that Swag sort
no,
of.
I'm not either. I mean, I
wagon.
think a lot of people are happy that it's happened. That the guys are unbanned.
I think people just feel that they made the unban happen, and that's why they like it. Kind of was like everybody jumped on board. The fact that they were banned because they threw a game for sort of life was it's sad, and so it's an org still banned and Valve event still banned. Sad, but like you still threw a game. Like I'm sorry, that's also bad. Like you shouldn't be banned forever. I agree, but then the amounts of support for that versus other people that do similar things or get caught for cheating, and like it's like is there a line? Like that's acceptable. Match fixing is fine, but if you had a VAC ban, not fine. But like it wasn't really game changing. But you threw a game anyway
but
to
if
make
you were
money.
simple and you had a VAC ban or snacks and you had a VAC ban, you can come back.
It's
I mean,
correct.
They
You
don't
do what you want to do. It's double standards in terms of like people are fickle and they sit on the fence. So like whatever the motion of the ocean is for me is like what people want to do, and they're like we follow these people. It's very limited individual thoughts. I feel in esports, it's the people that stand out for me are the ones that actually do resonate with what I feel, and it's not always going with the flow. So like the Brax thing for me kind of feels wrong because like what they did was wrong, and yes, they get unbanned, but it shouldn't be like they're kings and praised the way that they are. But it feels like people made it happen, so they're more behind it. I don't know if I'm just ranting, but
I think you made some really good points there, man. I absolutely agree with you on pretty much all of it as well. Like, it's not always the popular viewpoint, but it is.
No, for sure.
Yeah, I think individual thought is something that's missing sometimes in the online generation. We tend to all just sort of think the same thing. So it is an interesting one. And I'd say
the problem
also
is then we all become Logan Paul and Jake Paul, and then there is trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'd also say, I mean, Thorin
I do have merch
released
for sale though. Can I plug it? No, I'm kidding.
Well, Thorin released a video with Steele, Joshua Steele Nissan, which is an interesting one to go watch as well. I mean, Richard Lewis also did a video with Steele a while ago as well. But just getting his perspective, he's actually, been in a very bad place in life because of what he did, and he actually said in the interview, if we hadn't been banned in the way we were, we probably wouldn't have actually been sorry for what we did, and we wouldn't have actually learned to be better people. He is what he was saying. So I definitely have a lot of respect for that, him saying that, because I mean, a year ago when you watched things with Dazed or anything else, like and fuck you kind of thing was what was happening.
And I think that's that sentiment that they sort of led for a long time of not being responsible and sort of not really owning up to just how severe things like that are. And when you realize, listen, this is wrecked a career for me, and they at a peak time, I mean, iBuyPower was never a team that I thought would do amazing things continuously, but they did bring some amazing sort of events out and pull some strings that got people hyped up about what they could do, and they were at a time that they kind of saw all of these riches just crumble away in front of them as their friends and people in the scene started to capitalize more on CSGO and, ride that train to these tournaments with major prize pools. And these guys, got left behind on that and now are slowly trying to claw their way back in, getting into smaller events, which at the end of the day, any decent player for me isn't going to want to play with a banned player because it's going to wreck their chance of getting to a major. So you stuck in sort of having to play with players that aren't at that level anyway, and sort of are making a sacrifice to, okay, I'll play with him because he's good and he's kind of banned, so he has to play in our league. So, maybe
We'll be
easy
stream
road
stars.
to victory. Yeah, or do the streaming route, which I think like a lot of people, when they get into streaming, start to realize just how taxing and tolling it really is. You don't have a life behind
Hashtag
the
GNT
camera,
streams.
GNT streams, we stream. It's not something that I can, do all day, every day. I have a job and stuff like that. But I look at full-time streamers, and it must be difficult to, live your life the entire way through that means. And I think if you knew that you could be playing CS instead of just sitting behind a stream, and you could be making hella Skrilla doing it, then, you are going to repent and feel pretty damn bad about what you've done. So I feel like they got super lucky with what the community did in getting behind them, because without what the community did, there's no chance Valve would have, or sort of not Valve, I mean, tournament organizers would look at the thing and go, maybe we should make an allowance for this. There's, a lot of noise about it. We do it. People will, watch the tournaments because, well, they want to see these teams, and maybe there'll be new supporters that come on board because, hey, this is something different. So I think they got onto that bandwagon, and they're lucky that they did. But at the end of the day, like what they did, it destroys games. Match fixing in real sports is, just disgusting, like bad disgusting, not happy Geemax disgusting. And that whole like sort of fanboyism around like people. When I see players playing with like hashtag Brax and whatever, it's just kind of like, why support that now when, they had a chance and they messed it up. They've got a second chance now, but it's not like they're going to come back and getting back on topic. I don't feel they're going to come back and do amazing things in big leagues because, well, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Quite so. I like what you had to say there, man. Props to you for saying it too, because a lot of people don't like to voice those sorts of viewpoints. And I think it definitely needs to be said. So talking about unbanned people, Foxio is back, Sean. Yeah.
FXio, bro.
I call him Foxio.
Like
bro.
the problem is like a lot of these players, like people don't even know who they are.
Not anymore because they
Right.
weren't watching
Everyone's
2-3
like-
years ago.
Everyone's like hashtag free Brax. Has
Yeah.
anybody actually watched a Brax game?
Probably not.
Yeah.
You know, the
Like-
statistic about esports is that the majority of, they say 80% of the current fan base at any given
Oh,
point
they don't watch.
in
They don't watch
esports
it.
have only been watching it for less than a calendar year. So people don't actually have, by and large, the majority of the fan base don't actually even have they weren't watching Dreamhack 2013 with Live Powers players or anything like that. So it's a little crazy, but yeah, I mean, there's stuff happening there, of course. The
And
other
those people have no excuse really, because like I'm a new esports person, and like I didn't really get a chance. I was in situations where I couldn't really watch esports and as much as I wanted to, and when I could and had decent internet and started being able to do those things, then for me it was like, this is amazing. It's like esports,
Well, it is amazing.
And going back and being able to watch replays and VODs on YouTube and going back and going through the history of CS for me is something that is important, because to kind of understand that entire argument that we just had and to really encapsulate it, you have to, like you said, go back and look at how they really played iBuyPower and how Swag played, and where this whole sort of hype came up from was these sort of ballsy. He kind of reminds me of like how Stewie 2K kind of got discovered in his play style, his aggressive pushes through smokes and weird angles and things like that. And like Stewie was like sort of coached and molded into taking those sort of styles and becoming a professional player. He learned to be controlled. He learned to play aggressive when he needed to play aggressive, and developing now into an IGL role from where he was. That's a development that I don't feel that Swag went through because, you know, he got banned where potentially that could have developed, and now has played Pugs and, you know, PogChamp forever. You're now coming back into a competitive scene. He's going to want to play for his name. You know, he's got a reputation that he wants to be Swag. But back in, you know, the days, if you go back and watch their play styles and their tournament games, iBuyPower was a very inconsistent team at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's hard to say
the hype is
what they would
weird.
have really done. But yeah, I think we'll move on quickly because we still got a fair few things to get through. But I do appreciate your viewpoints there. Upcoming events, more Eleague Premier. Yeah.
Who is this week?
That would be Group B, so it's going to be Fnatic, Mousesports, North, and Immortals. So that's a pretty big lull, actually, in a lot of ways. I'm going to just quickly bring it up here on the browser for people. So either Group 1, FaZe, GC, Navi, Renegades, or what we were talking about. And then this week, Group B, Fnatic, Mousesports, North, and Immortals. So for me, Immortals, embarrassed, and are still in the same group as North, which is pretty deliciously hilarious.
Yeah.
North is going to be some expectation around them because they've been good lately. Mousesports, there should be some expectation around them as well, just because they've now won a title. Fnatic, I guess, is the one dark horse there. How do you see this going, Sean?
I mean, I can't see Fnatic getting out of this group. Massive downgrade in terms of fragging power, and they're still trying to figure out who they are. Immortals is playing with a stand-in who has multiple times attempted to restart his CSGO career, and that hasn't ever worked. I mean, that basically just leaves Mousesports and North, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Given what I've seen. Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but for me, the only question is North or Mousesports gets out first. I think it's probably going to be North getting out first place,
yeah.
and then Mousesports doing dirty things to whoever comes second, or you know, whoever plays them in the second place spot. But I think Mouse wins that fairly easily.
Indeed. Do you agree with him there, George?
I do. I think in terms of recent results, I don't know, Fnatic, like you said, finding their feet. Immortals, won't go back onto that track. Yeah. And North, just, I think North versus Mousesports, like you said, the race, I think North wins that one in this group. Yeah, I agree.
Config looking good, and I'm really like his swagger as well. I wish we had an ESEA.
Oh, dude, I love it.
Had that degree of swagger.
Fuck you.
We're the
On
best,
stage.
bitch. Kind of thing.
Yeah, there's nothing better than that, man.
That's fantastic. Then we've got ESL One New York, which is also this weekend, because why not have all the events ever all at the same time now?
Yeah, we don't need no sleepification.
Not at all. So let me quickly bring up the bracket there. So we've got 8 teams involved there. Group A is Cloud9, Envious, Navi, SK, and Group B is Astralis, FaZe, Liquid, Virtus Pro. So this is actually a really stacked tournament. I'm pretty excited to see how this is actually going to play out.
No, these are hot teams. Group A, SK excites me, and Group B, dude, I still have faith in Astralis, man. Like, I think that
Everyone loves you right now.
I have a
I'm
cool
gonna take
cap I could show you, but then it might.
I've got a
piss
shirt.
him.
I've got a shirt.
So
You won't beat me. I've also got a Astralis merch.
I've got underpants.
Okay, I'm not going there. You
I have
can
a
keep this.
G
Thanks,
string.
Oh,
Geemax.
jeez. Okay, anyway, we'll take it back from that. Okay, let's look at Group A. Who's going to go through? G, let's quickly go back to you. You said you liked SK. Who's the second team who's going to make it to semis?
It's a bit of a tough call, but I'd say Navi, out of the balance of, you know, Envious, the Frenchies, I don't know, and Cloud9. I would like Cloud9 to do something, but I think that Navi's potential in that group to come second there,
Okay,
I would say.
The simple factor. Sean, what do you think about Group A, man?
It's a very interesting one. I mean, SK, like I said, don't look great. Taco apparently has mumps,
I
from
heard
what I
that. Yeah.
understand. That's probably going to affect some kind of like recovery because he's now flying back from ESG to America. So, I mean, I think Navi gets out. Envy, I agree. There's no way they're getting out. Maybe Cloud9 causes an upset here.
Do you think maybe
Just wanna just
Cloud9
check
could
the
take
initial-
out SK or?
I think so. I just want to just check the first matches. Okay, so Cloud9 Navi's map 1. Or is the first match and then SK Envious.
I think
think
SK
Cloud9
beats
can do it.
Envious.
Yeah, no, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
definitely going to
I think-
happen.
I think given recent results, Cloud9 has an outside bet to beat SK if Tarek can figure out what the hell he's doing. I think SK Navi is probably the money man's bet, but Cloud9 has a reasonable shot to knock out either one of those two. Neither Navi nor SK has actually looked fantastic.
True that. So, I mean,
Yeah.
the other matchup we've got is from Group B, FaZe versus Virtus Pro. I'd say FaZe there based on what we've seen lately. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, you'd have to be crazy to be going the other way. Astralis versus Liquid.
No.
I mean, Liquid looked good, but I still have faith in Astralis, and I think both of you do as well. So I reckon we go Astralis there.
Yeah.
I think Astralis gets out of groups. Like the problem is like FaZe, Liquid. I think FaZe probably wins that, but again, like I don't know if this is as stacked a tournament as it would have been a month or two ago. Because
a lot of forms.
none of these
guys.
teams, none of these
They have
teams
big
look
names.
spectacular.
They big name MGOs, but the CS side has been
Yeah, like it's just like with like the whole play, like with the whole player break and all the changes, and it just like none of these teams look terrifying.
These are kind of big MGOs with their team, like players that they had within the teams. Like the Cloud9 roster as it was it's kind of Shroud, nothing, automatic, Stewie. Like it was exciting. Like I'll never like no more nothing vlogs. And then Navi's side, of course, also just completely different.
I think there's a lot of uncertainty going into this event, and like it makes it exciting, but it's also like we just don't know. Like Liquid could beat Astralis and get out of the groups. FaZe could fail in groups. Like
we just have.
I think the only two things, like I said, I think the only things that you could say are reasonable would be that Astralis and SK get out of groups. Whether they win the event, that's an entirely different story. Like I think SK and Astralis are most likely to get out of groups, but I don't know if they win the event. That's my.
So we have the same call, basically. I think that's a good call.
Yeah, I'd agree on that one as well. So the other thing is ESL Pro League ongoing. Go to HLTV. You can check out what's going on there. That's always happening forever and ever. There's also ECS
it doesn't stop.
Development League, which is happening too. And weirdly, North is an ECS Development League because they lost their seed because they're no longer Dignitas. So rip life, rip dreams, and unfortunately, they're going to be ripping the dreams to shreds of pretty much everybody else in ECS Development League, I fear. Gambit's in there too, which is interesting, and they're never good online. So I think that's an interesting one too. But yeah, I mean, in general, that's what we got coming up. There's also ESL Africa action coming, so that would be Thursday, every Monday and Thursday. We've only got 3 more broadcast days left, so this Thursday from 6:45, and then next Monday and next Thursday as well, also from 6:45, and that's on twitch.tv/ESL_CSGO_Africa for the world's most longest, most complicated, most everything URL. And
it doesn't comply with anything URL related anymore. It's just extended.
No, not at all. But that's the ESL style. And then, of course, for a nice short URL, you can go to twitch.tv/Mettlestate at 1 o'clock on Saturday to watch the Matrix Maverick challenge, and that's going to be an exciting one. I think we'll all be there, pull through, and definitely support. Going to be fun. So, any final words, guys?
Don't run with
scissors. It's going to be a good week in
scissors.
SCS.
Those were two rather
Or-
varied outcomes.
or CS:GO knives. Don't run with those either.
Yeah, those do look sharper than they probably should be for safety's sake.
Yeah, they're quite sharp. I blunted them so I didn't cut myself though. So safe max.
Safe max to the max. So, yeah, thanks guys for joining us. As of course, CS:GO Deep is sponsored by Aperture PC. I was joined tonight by Geemax. Thank you for being here,
You
mate.
can't just say it like it's your boy Geemax.
It's
just
your boy
once for me.
Geemax.
Yes.
There we go. And
Barry never does that for me. That's like, you see that, Barry?
yeah, Barry is
It's your
seeing
boy
that right now.
Geemax.
And then, of course, we had the illustrious CS:GO brain that is Profeci. Thanks for joining, mate.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, always love talking about CS. So going to be interesting to get to do it more on the weekend as well.
Fantastic. So we've definitely had a good time. Lots of CS coming your way, and we'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.